Hey, you.
Over here, Agent.
Slayer. Yo, what's up?
Hey, over here.
Hello and welcome to Ctrl Alt WoW, the podcast for those of us that like computer games and VR and making many alts. Today is Tuesday, March 4th, 2025, and this is episode 819. It's Little Ladies Day. I'm AprilPvd, and with me is Grand Nagus. Hi, Grand Nagus. How are you?
Hi, April. It's going good. We, as the title says, we have a new event going on in Final Fantasy, and it just started yesterday. So we're all excited, and it's a really, really nice story. But I'm going to get into that in my segment.
Okay, good.
How have you been?
I've been really good. I've been good, bad, and now I'm better. So I'm gonna hop into my segment, and the biggest thing that happened, and this is something that doesn't happen when you're playing flat screen games, but okay, so my two biggest games, and we talked about Legendary Tales last week. I haven't played it as much this couple of weeks, but I have a friend that I've been playing Zenith with, and she got a computer, so we're hoping to get into it because it's a PC VR game. And have I told you or talked about PC VR at all?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you need something with really good power too. Like I lucked out because I ended up getting a laptop that has 64 gigs of RAM. Now, when I first started playing Rift back in 2017, I had a PC. And it wasn't as demanding, but it needed to be a good PC. As the specs increased and the games became more complicated, you could tell when you were lagging or things weren't as crisp and clear. And at one point, I had gotten a shadow PC, which is an excellent idea. I wish they had caught on. It's where you're using a game, an application, and in my case, I was using an application on a Mac that linked me to for lack of a better word, a computer farm like in New York, and I had specs of a high-end PC. I really thought that's where we were going to be headed, in the future, instead of everybody constantly upgrading computers. I thought we'd be, accessing farms, or we would really just have like an interface or a way to log in, and then the computers would be somewhere else. But that hasn't happened yet. In the intervening times, I went through different computers and I actually got another computer that I thought was going to be really good, but it only had 8 gigs of RAM, and I had to ended up, that was not enough.
Mm-hmm.
I did upgrade it to 32 gigabyte of RAM, and that was a significant improvement. I could really see the difference. But this one has the laptop I'm using now has 64 gigs, and of course it also has to do with the graphics. But it really does make a difference, like with games like Legendary Tales and Flight Simulator. You need at least 32. The 64 really comes in handy for that because it uses. It's where it's storing all the information as it's doing all its graphical stuff, and you need a really good graphics card. So I'm excited that this friend of mine has gotten a PC VR and we can play some games. She has been playing Xbox games on VR, and it hasn't been something that appealed to me. I have tried it, using an Xbox controller and it's one of the reasons why I like VR is because I use my whole body, which brings me to what happened last week. Okay, so I put some screenshots in the show notes about Medieval Dynasty. First of all, one of the things I did was I played with some people. They now have a public lobby so that if you want to go into the co-op with other people, but you don't have a bunch of friends, you can log in and see what's available and then go in that way. It's kind of interesting and fun to do, but I always feel guilty because whatever resources I obtain, like say if I go do some mining or if I chop down some trees, when I log out, I take those resources offline. I don't take them back to my place. They're just in limbo until I log back into that person's game. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So what I try to do is before I log off is I try to go to their main place and say, oh, here's all this stuff I got, and and dump it on and somewhere so they can pick it up. Now, the biggest thing that was coming up, well, two big things Medieval Dynasty did. They made an update, and it was called patch 1.19.1, or it was called Hotfix. They brought in some cosmetic things. Well, and they did some other things. Like one of the things is when you cook something or you make something, craft or anything, you open up this book, and the book used to just have pages and pages of stuff that you'd have to go through under one subtitle. Like for instance, if you wanted to make a chest or a light fixture to put up a torch, you had to thumb through it to find it. Well, they put tabs in, and that was really nice. That was great. That really made a big difference. But the other two things they did was they made cosmetic things, like you can now put down a pile of manure. But the biggest thing is you could also make sidewalks. Now, I put some pictures in the show notes of the sidewalks that I made. And it's just a bunch of wood that you put down, and it creates a sidewalk, which was nice because I try to make my my map, I make a little village. So now I can, and I was making houses over here and a shop over there. So now I can put down a little path between them to indicate where to go. Plus I was putting up fences, and then I was like, but where do I put, a break in the fence to show where to go to the individual buildings? So now I can put the path down. But the paths need 6 planks for, I think you can put down 4 rows of boards. And I got kind of overdone with it because I've been overlapping them and making them line up very nicely. And I think it's looking really nice. But in order to make planks, you have to do 2 things. You first have to get logs, which means going out and chopping trees. I was very excited about this because it's when I'm chopping trees and then subsequently making the planks, it's exercise. My Apple Watch registers it as I'm working out. So it was a nice way of getting in extra steps because I am moving in real life. And I went to do it on one day last week. I needed like 4,000 more steps. So I went to do it I was like making like 300 or 400 of these planks. And it's just a constant going back and forth motion with my arm. on, what was it, 2 days ago, I went to make some more, and I got a sharp pain in my chest. I actually I was a little nervous because I thought, is it something related to my heart? Am I having chest pains? And I did a Google search, and they said if it's over on your right side, it's probably muscular. It's probably more related to some kind of muscle thing than cardiac. And it kept increasing, and I couldn't actually make any more planks. And then I went to get on the elliptical because that's another way I get steps in, and it was still painful. So I did end up going to the emergency room, and they ran a bunch of tests. They did an EKG. In fact, they said I had the most perfect EKG that they had ever seen.
Cool.
Yeah, so my heart's fine. And then they did a chest x-ray. That's fine. They did blood work. So all it was from doing that same back and forth motion with my right arm, yeah. I probably strained some muscle in my chest. So it's interesting. It's not the first time I've hurt myself in VR. One time when I was sword fighting, I accidentally hit the side of my mirror that wasn't covered, and I cut my finger open. And we hear stories about people hurting. Well, it's been, there was the whole Wii thing. Remember when people were throwing their Wiis and breaking their TVs, the Wii remote. So, it's something that happens. I'm better now. I just took like a few days off, and I did go in today, and what I did was I did chop down some trees and do some stuff, but I didn't do the planks. What I did instead was I made another planking station on my settlement, and tomorrow I'm going to open up my game because it's my co-op game, and I'm going to invite people and hire, I'm using air quotes, people to come in and do my planks for me. So
enslave.
Well, no, people will come in. I will give them and feed them, and it's funny.
People will come, yeah.
They'll join in, and I also thought maybe I might have a trivia contest or something in the middle of it. Because the nicest thing is that even though it's a big map, the chat goes all over the map. It's funny that you mention that because they don't have. Did we talk about this? They don't have skin color of anybody of color. All the skins are white. And one of the things, some people had asked for different shades of color. And I think one of the reasons they won't do it is because they are afraid of that. They said, no, this is medieval dynasty. It wouldn't be historically accurate. And I'm like, okay, but we don't... everything here isn't historically accurate. You're not really going to hit a tree 3 times and get your logs down, but yeah. So I don't think they, but people do come in and help other people. So I think that's what I'm going to say, and then I can offer to go and join other people to help them. I've gone into other games with people and done cooking and farming and stuff, so it could be a quid pro quo.
Nice.
And I put some screenshots in of that I went hunting, and I got some deer. And one of the things that I got that was kind of fun is that when you shoot a buck, you have a chance of getting the antlers. And if you get 2 antlers and you get some rope and some leather, you can actually make a decoration of the antlers somewhere on your house. So that's nice. I've been sailing. The sailing has been a lot of fun. I've been going in and getting the blue coins. And I got enough blue coins to change my sails to a different color. I'll put a screenshot in the show notes. And I've been working out. I haven't worked out since I hurt myself, but I've been, doing the boxing and stuff. And I did a few other. I've been trying a few other games that are coming out. And one of the ones that's coming out this month that I'm really excited about is a train sim. Now, I talked about Derail Valley, which is a freight rail simulation, and it is really a lot of fun. But it's very, very realistic. Like, you have to turn on all the breakers. You have to make sure your brakes are in the right spot. You have to do all the things that, in order. And, but it's only freight. This new game that's coming out is going to be driving a MTA train or a subway train. So that'll be a little bit different because I think you'll have passengers and you'll have more things to deal with. And that's coming out this month. I did play a little bit of the Fitness Fable, and I got an actual farming simulator, which, unlike Medieval Dynasty, it's a modern farm. And it's dealing with tractors and getting out, planting and harvesting and greenhouse. It's a little bit more technical, and I'll be.
Yeah, I got one of those too. I think they release one every couple of years of that. That's like yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Mine is.
Go ahead.
I think mine is 19. I think that 2019. I think. I remember correctly, but yeah.
And the other thing I got to do this week that was really a lot of fun was I went back into Zenith. Zenith was my main game for a while there. And then they decided they're not developing it anymore. But people still play. And there is a group on Discord who was very instrumental in getting together events for Zenith. And when I started playing Zenith, I joined this group, and they would have events every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And some of the events was for grinding for mats because you needed materials to upgrade your equipment and your gear and things. And some of it was just there was something called Cosmetic Craze, and it was really a lot of fun to get together. You go to these different events to get coins, and then once you get enough coins from the quest giver that makes these events, you could buy certain outfits. And I'm going to put a screenshot in the show notes because I was able to upgrade one of my outfits to shorts. It's really
nice.
Cool shorts. Now, here's the thing that's interesting about it is that when I had played so much on my meta account that all of my characters had gotten all the cosmetics. So I switched over to my Steam account, which it was interesting when Zenith first came out. They came out first on the Steam, and I went ahead and bought the Steam account because I wanted to get on it right away. But then a few hours later, they came out on Meta. And since I was also playing at work, it was better for me to be playing on my Meta account because I could take my headset to work, which Steam is basically PC VR. So you can only do that on the computer with the computer. But as the game started winding down, especially at the beginning of last summer, some of the people who were running the events, and it was almost like school again, because you had the popular kids, and then you had, I was like one of the side weird kids that they let hang around, but, I made people laugh, and I was fun, and I would crack good jokes. But eventually there were times when, as the like I said, the game was winding down. When these events first started, they would be on a specific server, and I never really got to know how many people could be on a server. I'm thinking maybe 50 or maybe 100. But sometimes if you didn't log in before the event started, the server would be full. And you'd be sitting there refreshing the lobby trying to get on what I always call dead man's boots. Do you know what that means? Mm-hmm. Somebody gets kicked out by accident, or they crash and you could hop on.
Or they just leave, yeah.
Yeah, or they just leave. Their time, they have to go. But as the game started winding down, people started going to other games. And at the same time, and that was the beginning of last summer, there were the people that were organizing it would say, I'm not going to be available this Saturday, or this Sunday I have something to do. Is there anyone that can step up? And so I started saying, I'm retired. I don't have anything really to do. And I'm not going anywhere. So I started filling in on different events. And then as the summer waned, people started going to other games because there's no more progression. I think I've mentioned this before. If Zenith had done a subscription like World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy, they would have had enough money to keep going, but they decided to close it down. So once you've done the main boss 50 million times, there's nothing else you can do, and there's no, your gear is all stacked up. But I was still doing the cosmetic craze, and people would still come. I mean, there was a few weeks when there was only 1 or 2 people, and I didn't do it. But lately, like a couple of weeks ago when I did it, we had over a dozen people show up. And then this past Saturday, we had like 6 people, and we had fun. We did the whole round of events. There's 3 that's called NeoWear, and it's really cool because you can get sneakers, you get a cute jacket, you get some leather pants, and it's cosmetic, which means that no matter what gear you're currently sporting, it's gonna, when you have the cosmetics, and it replaces the skin of that outfit, which can be nice if you're lower level and you've got mixed and match. You don't have a whole set of a specific gear. So, and it was fun. We spent an hour and a half. People were there. We took down bosses. We took down, we finished events, and I got a pair of new shorts, and we had fun. So I'm really glad that I'm able to do this. I did send a message to the Discord that said that, I know that I was just a midsummer replacement, and the other people worked so hard to actually get these events going, and that if anybody wanted to take my place, to come back and do it, they were more than welcome. But everybody said they were fine, that I was doing a good job, and so I'm still doing it. It's every other Saturday in Zenith, and it's really, and I miss Zenith. And then here's the kicker: because this was my old account that I hadn't been playing on much, I still have pets that I can level up, and I hadn't gone up to the throne. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but that's one of the things that gets you to be qualified to raid, is that you have to fly up to the throne that's high up in the sky. And when I tried to do it in the past, it was too scary for me. I would literally get up there and freeze and freak out. And I had talked to some people about this, and a lot of people went through the whole thing. It takes at least an hour or 2 of just steady, and sometimes 3 hours, because you have to fly, you have to grab zip lines, you have to catch yourself in these wind tunnels, and to get up to one level, and then you have to constantly use these little floating steps to jump from one to the other. It's very well done. And when I first tried to do it back in the day, it freaked me out so much that I couldn't do it. At one point, I was actually stuck on the side of there's a like a windmill thing that has bombs, and you have to cling to one of the spinners on the windmill, ride up and try to get past the bombs. And if the bomb explodes, you have to time it just right so that when you're climbing up, you start right after the last bomb goes off, explodes, and then climb up and get past it. And if you don't, you die, or you fall all the way back down. And it was so scary that I ended up getting a developer to in-game jump me up to the top. And I always felt so like such a chicken. I felt like I wasn't and so this was the thing you had to do before you could do raids. You could do a whole bunch of content in Zenith, but if you didn't do this much, you wouldn't be eligible to do raids. And I would just freeze up there. So when he finally helped me, his name was Winter, and he helped me up, it was such a relief, and now I could go and play with the rest of my friends in the game. And
well, it's nice of him. It's nice of him to do that.
It was nice of him, but then I also felt like a fraud. I felt like all these other people had done it, and then I found out that there were a couple of other people he had helped as well, so it wasn't just me. And then I said to one of the other guys that had also helped me fly up on there's a lot of flying in Zenith, and had helped me on another thing. And I said, I feel like such a faker that, I'm playing this game and I can't do this part of it. And he said to me, I envy you, because when I go to do those things, it doesn't look scary. It just looks like a computer screen. And he said that your brain is so immersed in this game that it looks real to you and it makes you scared. And I'm just like, oh, that's a different perspective. So I'm not a chicken. I'm just really immersed, and it's really real to me. But two things have since happened. I've gotten better at the flying part, and I haven't gotten so the heights don't affect me as much. I've gotten used to it. And the other thing is, right before the last patch, before they abandoned the game, they reinstated something called free flying. So I am able to fly further than I was before. So I was able to fly up to the throne, or up to one level. And then the real advantage of this is that as you progress through the storyline of the game, the fast travel points open up. What do they call? Oh, it's like the Aether. Is that what it's called in Final Fantasy? The teleports.
Yes, yep.
And
it's the right crystals.
Right. So as you progress through the storyline, they open up. The thing that kept happening with Zenith, unfortunately, is that the storylines, when they opened up Skyland, you could go in there and you could level really quickly. So now the rest of the places around Zenith that you could get to different places, you out-level them. And so you don't even want to go back and do the whole storyline. You have to do a breadcrumb to get to this guy, and this guy gives you this quest. And then he goes, oh, well, here, go over here and talk to this friend, and you go talk to that person. And then, oh, look, the fast travel points. So these two characters that I've been playing on Steam haven't gone through the whole quest line, and there were portions of the map that they couldn't get to. But if you go, and this is the craziest thing about this game, if you get that teleport up to the throne, you are now up above the game, kind of like looking down at the game board. And then you can jump and go to anywhere on the map.
Ooh.
Yes. So my main motivation for doing all this was that a couple of the events that we were doing in Cosmetic Craze were way on the other side of the map. And the timing of it, like one of the events would go off and then 15 minutes later, another event would go off. And here I am supervising people and saying, okay, now we need to get to Ramshackle, but I couldn't get to Ramshackle in time. I could try to go there by traveling, jumping from mountain to mountain or flying and stuff, and then I'd get there and the event was over. But if I could teleport myself to the throne, then I could just jump off the top of the throne and go right down to Ramshackle. So now that I've gotten that, I can do that. And I really enjoy going back into Zenith. I miss that game, and I wish the developers hadn't given up on it. And I think that's about all I've been doing. I'm looking forward this week to getting more into Legendary Tale with my friend who's gotten the PC VR. And I am going to put some pictures in the show notes of my sailboat. I still love going into sail and having fun. And I'm going to be getting back into working out. The boxing has been really good, and I'm having fun, and I feel like I'm getting exercise, especially with the sit-ups and the weight training. So that's been my week, and it's been
Maybe
fun.
you should do a regiment of in between training stuff that releases the tension of your muscles, so you don't do it too much at the same time, the same movement.
Right. Yeah. And definitely not doing, and I mean, if you can imagine, have you ever operated a plane? You know, like the thing that you use to like shave off, like to level a piece of wood, and you're just going back and forth over it. That's what the motion was. So as long as I don't do that, I mean, I've been doing VR for 8 years. This was my first really big muscle strain. And again,
Yeah.
I have been doing it. I did like several hours worth of that to try to stock up on my planks. Also, maybe I should do some more stretching as well. But thank you. I will try that. So how has your week been?
My week has been good. I have been so we have 2 events going on. We have
And this is in Final Fantasy 14.
This is Final Fantasy 14. Yes, we have the quarterly Moogle Tombstone event going on, which is basically happening at roughly the 1 month mark before the next major patch hits. And then you basically get a event that allows you to get a whole bunch of rewards, where you do content that you would do anyway, kind of, but on a predetermined random kind of way. So I can put the book, quote unquote, into the show note as a screenshot.
Oh, okay.
So you basically have a book that you get, and that book has different tasks in the game that you have to do to earn those currency, which are irregular tombstones. And that currency allows you, if you uh, scroll down to partway through my show notes, you can see the mock pendium. That's what it's called. And it has different categories.
Oh, okay.
You can see that currently the irregular tombstone of Phantasmagoria is the current one, and the quantity I hold is 54. And you can see that the categories on the left side are standard objective, weekly objective, mini mock challenges, and ulti-mock challenge. So you can see on the right side, you can see that there are a list of dungeons, which is the blue icon. That's
Right.
like the and the orangey red icon below that is the raid icon. So you can see here there are so many, like 5, 6, 7 low-level dungeons available to do that you can do repeatedly, as often as you want to.
Right.
As you can do with the rest of the list, including the raids. So you can basically run those specific listed events, raids, dungeons, whatnot, as often as you want. And depending upon the size of the event and the average duration of the event, you get a predetermined number of tombstones of currency. Usually you get between 2 and 3 for a dungeon and 3 and 4 for a raid. And then there are the outliers, which are the really big events that take there are dungeons too that are like, the biggest one is a dungeon that takes you roughly 40 minutes, and you get 7 tombstones for that. And what you can get for the as rewards, or if you scroll down further, you will be able to see the screenshot. Oops, where is it? Come on, where are you? Doing this live. If you
We're doing it
scroll
live.
down a little further, you can see my character in the close-up with the black and flamey jacket.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yep, that's previously was a kind of rare jacket, and I don't know where it's from, but I know that that's one I've wanted for so long, and now you can get that for 50 of those tombstones.
Wow.
And that's the first thing I got myself.
And the back is gorgeous.
Right? Yeah, I think so too. It's like one of those very special items that you can get. And there are a multitude of mounts you can get and minions, aka pets. There is some other proper gear you can get. There are different other items that you can get, like cards for the card game, for the Triple Triad game. Housing items, a couple. And then there is the very big top reward that's rotating, or that's like a unique reward that you can only get once, and at this event, and that's a earring.
Oh.
Sometimes it's a necklace, but usually it's an earring, and that's like a stylized of something, an animal or a. I think a couple of times ago they had a corgi earring and a corgi necklace
Ooh.
with like a little corgi head.
How cute.
Yep. So and that's like the only way and the only time you can get that respective thing, and that's like one item in the whole list of 30 different rewards that cost 100. So people usually go for that first if they want that, and then they go for the rest later. So that's every quarter, roughly every 4 months, for a month or until the patch launches. It's usually roughly a month of duration that you can. And I didn't mention the weekly and mini mock thing. So as I said, with the different number of reward per run, that's the standard objectives. The weekly objective, the next category, is a randomly assigned duty that you get only for you out of the list that is there, and it's unlocked according to your progress in the MSQ, in the main scenario quest. So that means the further along in the story you are, the higher level you are accordingly, the more of the listed duties are available for the RNG rotation. And the mini mock, the third category, is a small, and the weekly one awards you once a week 20 tombstones. So that's a sizable amount. The mini mock gives you 10, and that's usually a small challenge that is either you have to fish a special fish that you get randomly assigned, or you have to go for another quest. I at the moment have to go into the blue mage quest and do something there, but I haven't unlocked that yet, so I don't know what it is yet. Another thing you might have to do is go and do a set of 5 fates, which is fates are much like if in WoW you have those randomly occurring events in a zone. I can't remember what the term of them is, and this in Final Fantasy, it's a usually 15-minute duration event that happens, and you just go to that event, you get synced to that level. So if you are max level 100 in Final Fantasy and you go to a starting zone and you enter a fate area, you can click on the button in the UI and it syncs you to the level 5 fate, whatever. the number is the level is, and you get leveled down from level 100 to level 9, because you always get a +4 quote unquote bonus. So the level 5 fate becomes a level 9 character of yours. So that and then you just do the task that the fate requires. Usually it's killing a bunch of mobs or a boss, or there is another version where you have to escort an NPC, or where you have to collect some items either from the ground and bring it back to this special NPC, and or depending upon what the fate is, you can sometimes kill an a mob, and they drop that item that you need to turn in then. So there are quite a few different versions of those fates. That's one of the possible mini mock challenges as well. So, and as I said, those gave 10. And then you have the Ultimock challenge, which is a once per event item challenge. And that gives you 50.
Oh, nice.
So that you can usually for me it's either going fishing, like ocean fishing, and get to a certain threshold of points that you have to score, or in my case at the moment, in this event, this character has the ultimate challenge to do a deep dungeon, which is basically, I don't know, do you remember Torghast in WoW?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so that's basically the roguelike, that's what they're called. And the version of a roguelike in Final Fantasy is Deep Dungeon. So that means you have the base one that we have is the Palace of the Dead, which has 200 levels, 200 floors. And I don't know how many floors you have to do. This one here, for me, as I can see, is the second. It takes place in the second of the deep dungeons, which is called Heaven on High. And I would assume it has me. It requires me to do a certain amount of floors. Usually you do them in 10 in a bracket of 10. So when you enter, you start at floor 1, obviously, and you go through 10, and the 10th floor is always a boss, and then you are finished, and then you go out. That's when you are safe, because regardless of when this happens, if you die, you're done. So there's no if you're in there alone and there's no way you can rest, then you're done. So if you are theoretically you want to do the 200 floors of the place and you die at floor 189, You have to start at floor 1 again.
Wow. Wow.
Yep. That's the Deep Dungeons curse. So, yeah. I mean, if you go in there with 2, 3, or 4 people, 4 is the maximum number. You can res each other, but once you wipe and all 4 of you die, then that's the end of it.
Can you, if
So
you don't wipe, you can go back in?
you can go in at the 10th
Okay.
level.
Oh.
You always do them in the bracket in the 10 set, and then you can save. Basically, you have 2 save slots as a character, and you can save your progress of a run, and then if you don't want to continue on a specific day, you can just do it the next day or the next week or the next month, for as long as the save is still there, and you basically have to delete the save for it to go away so it doesn't expire. So that's the Deep Dungeon. It's a really cool concept. I really like it, and as with most, if not everything in the game, you get rewards there too. You have these special bags that you get. I can't remember exactly what what the name of those are, but you can collect the bags, and then once you are outside, there is an NPC you can talk to, and then you can turn them in, and there is a random chance of something on from the loot table being in there.
Oh.
I've got pets. I've got wallpaper for housing, flooring for housing. I think there's even a mount. Yeah, there's quite a bit of rewards in there. So it's very rare in this game that you don't get a reward. So you basically always come out with something. It's not always what you want, obviously, because it's RNG with those bags that you can look into. But theoretically, it's not nothing. So that, yeah, like I said, that's the Deep Dungeons. I put in a couple of pictures from my house that I almost finished now.
Oh, it's beautiful.
You can see me sitting at the at
The
one
deck?
of my decks on the outside, having a cup of tea.
I love the hanging flower bushes. Those are gorgeous.
Yeah, right. I really love this deck. It's really pretty. I added the pergola up over the table. That's not part of the original design of the deck. That's an item I added extra.
Oh,
So
nice. It's like an arbor, a grape arbor or something. The plants hanging off the top of it. I love it.
yeah, and then the next one is a different outfit. One of my latest glam outfits I got. I won the the robe
Oh, that's beautiful.
on stream, and then I had to get the corresponding pants as well, and I really again it's really nice, and
And of course, the
the
graphics
original
in Final Fantasy 14 are bar none. They are the best.
they are really good, especially after the graphics update. It's really pretty, and then yeah. As I said before, the jacket, the reward, and then further down you can see my the top floor or of my house.
With the
From
bar.
one, yeah,
Is that a
and
jukebox?
at the jukebox, yeah, the little,
That is gorgeous.
yeah, you can have, you can, that's where how you listen to the orchestrion. It's called an orchestrion, and you can feed it with orchestrion rolls that you gather from either quest rewards or from drops from dungeons. So if you go into specific dungeons, you get the orchestrion roll with the music of the dungeon. The same with raids. Most raids have as a reward at the end either have the finished orchestrion roll, or they have the faded copy of which is a crafting material. So what you do with the faded copy is basically you add a proper scroll that you craft as a carpenter, and a bottle of ink of a varying types. You add that to the faded copy, and then you basically reconstruct the music, and then you learn it and add it to your orchestrion. So it's either that, or, as I said, or the finished product. It's really cool to. That's why I usually tend to level alchemy as one of the first jobs, because it's so much not easier and so much cheaper to buy a faded scroll, a faded copy, than it is to get the finished product. Where sometimes you pay upwards of 100,000 gil for a scroll, you can get a faded copy for a couple of gil, literally, like between 1 and 10 gil, versus 100,000 and upwards. So I usually go and scour the market board for cheap faded copies before I set out to buy the finished product, the scroll itself, if I can help it. And the nice thing is, if you craft it yourself, you get the progression bonus. So every item you craft for the first time, you get a proof of concept, I think, bonus, meaning you learn how to make it. And that gives you a certain bonus as well. So that it helps you to level the profession, the job even faster. And you can say that, yes, I made it myself. Which I really like to. So it's always nice to make something yourself versus just buying stuff. Not that I haven't done that, of course, but it's still satisfying to craft something yourself and know that you can do it. It's especially in this game, since, as I said so often, I can do everything on one character. You don't have to switch back and forth between characters just because you want to craft on a different job. You can just do everything on the same character. And that's basically been my week.
Awesome. All right. Well, it's good to hear that you're having a good week. I love this new... How long is this event? With the tombstones?
The tombstone event ends whenever 7.2 comes out.
Oh, okay.
Which should be on the 28th.
Oh, okay.
It's not officially confirmed yet, but we have got the date for the next letter from the producer live, which is on Friday the 14th. And theoretically, it could launch on the 18th, yes. But which would be the following Tuesday. But yeah, I don't know. My prediction is still the 25th. So if I'm wrong, then our next show will likely be on patch day, which then would be the 18th. So our next show is supposed to be on the 18th, which then would be patch day. That's how the way it's supposed to be phrased. Yes.
Okay, good. All right, so thanks for listening. You can write us at ctrlaltwow@gmail.com. And our show notes with all the pictures we've talked about is at ctrlaltwow.com. And we will be back in 2 weeks. This is AprilPvd. Thanks for listening.
And this has been Grand Nagus. Rule of acquisition number 19. Satisfaction is not guaranteed. Bye, guys.
Till next time, agents.
See ya. Later. You headed out?
Come back again soon. Don't be a stranger, dear. Visit again soon.
The Dunes bury all,